Welcome back to another episode of The Family Album. I'm your host, AJ Tenari.
And I'm Matt Glass.
Last week you heard our first episode of the new year. Our 30th episode also.
Holy shit.
I know, man. It's almost been a year since we started the show.
That's fucking wild. Well, technically, we've released more than 30, but it's the 30 of our usual format.
The main canon, I guess.
Did you think we'd actually fucking make it this long, AJ?
Being honest, not really.
No, same here.
Yeah, we were in a bit of development hell for a couple months.
Just a bit. But hey, we made it. We came. We saw. We kicked its ass.
Exactly.
As Bill Murray one time said, yeah.
In the film.
In character.
Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, exactly. But AJ, we're not talking about Groundhog Day this episode. We have a special guest.
We do. Family heads, please welcome special guest, Alek Ruszkai.
What's up? Hello.
How you feeling, Alek?
Tired. I have not slept. It's finals week. It just be like it do.
It's true. I completely understand. Since Alek and I do go to the same school.
Alek, how does it feel to be our first guest of the new year?
Yeah.
You know what? Correct. I couldn't have said it better myself.
That is correct.
It's current year.
True.
Things have, gotten that much different.
I know. Crazy, right?
It's wild.
Anyway,
the
Alek.
number changed. It's great.
The number did change, and here we are. Better for it. So, Alek, tell us a little bit about your musical background, musical taste. What you just like about music?
So, oh man, this is gonna get real deep.
Go ahead. Go on ahead.
I feel like I was put on this planet to consume art.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like when I listen to music, it is just another step in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I will be the first to tell you that I might not enjoy everything, but if you send me a song, I will listen to it.
Yeah.
I will give everything a try. And that's just the kind of person I am. I will always give everything a good old college effort. And even if it's skipping through the song, I'll still give it a try. And I really stem a lot from rock and hip hop. So a lot of Suicide Boys and Nujabes and Jay Dilla, and then also I listen to Pearl Jam and
the grunge classic,
and then I go all the way up to indie folk like Big Thief, which we were talking about, and I'm just all over the map. Seriously, it's just music is such a universal language that I think is so imperative to understanding. And when you find the stuff that really speaks to you, it's like I remember the other day we were talking in popular music, and Eddie Vedder, who's the singer of Pearl Jam, was doing some song. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but it was a world music thing where this Middle Eastern man was singing, and he had this expression once he started singing, and it was awestruck. He was completely inspired by this, and I was like, that is that is it. That is exactly how you should feel. You should always feel moved by art.
Yeah.
And no matter how random it is. And I think there's something to pull from everything, and
music is powerful.
Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of powerful, we got some powerful albums this week, because as we know, the guests always pick a theme for whenever they come on the episode. So, Alek, what is the theme that you chose for this week?
I picked debut albums.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked two debut albums, one being one of my favorite albums of all time, and one kind of a curveball.
Yeah. It definitely did curve my balls, I will say.
As we say in the business, yeah.
Hey, yo.
And what were those albums, if you'd like to lay those on us?
1991's 10 by Pearl Jam. And 1996 is This Is a Long Drive for Someone with Nothing to Think About by Modest Mouse.
Yes, two very different albums, but I would say staple 90s bands. I feel like, especially Pearl Jam, the founding grunge band, and definitely a monumental album for that era. So I was actually very interested to come back to this because I've never been a Pearl Jam fan.
Really?
But I think that might have changed after listening to this album.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam's so good.
I really enjoyed this record quite a lot. I've expressed to you numerous times how much I've actually enjoyed this. Mm-hmm. Especially even from front to back. I know you said up to I think the 7th-ish track.
1 through 7's impeccable.
Yeah.
But even the last 2, I'd say for me, I still resonated with to some extent.
Mm-hmm. It's a solid album through and through. The Modest Mouse record, however, I was not the biggest fan of. We will get into our detailed thoughts more so, but just I actually kind of had opposite expectations. I was dreading Pearl Jam, but I liked it at the end. And I was excited for Modest Mouse, and I didn't like it at the end. So it was a very interesting kind of dichotomy, if you will.
What a fascinating word I've never heard before.
I know. Nor has our audience, who I'm sure are not sick of it.
Alec, we say it every episode.
Dichotomy?
Yes. Okay. We say it every episode.
Good to know.
But Alec, what album would you like to start with this week?
I feel like we should start with Modest Mouse record because I don't know if I have all that much to say about it, and I feel like I have a lot to say about Pearl Jam.
I would agree.
You know what? I think that's a very good idea.
Sweet. So Matt will take it away with a little history then.
The part that I get so scared about every time. Well, This Is a Long Drive for Someone with Nothing to Think About was released on April 16th, 1996 through Up Records, recorded in Moon Studios and produced by Steve Wold. I don't know what Steve Wold has produced other than this.
Neither do I.
Hopefully some more interesting things, because this surely was. This surely was interesting. The members include Isaac Brock on guitar and vocals. He also did drums on Dog Paddle, I found out.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Green on drums, and he did bass on Dog Paddle.
Yeah, they all switched instruments for that song.
I didn't know that. I did not know. That's why it sounded that way. I see. And then Eric Judy on bass and guitar on Dog Paddle. Yeah, and it is 16 tracks.
Yep.
And it's received some pretty decent reception. Like on Pitchfork, I think
it's an 8.3, I believe. It was pretty high up there.
And then
8.5.
8.5.
And then there was like a 6 point something from like another place, and it received an A- on another one.
Yes.
I mean,
4 out of 5 stars from AllMusic and 3.5 stars out of 5 from Rolling Stone.
So decently solid across the board.
And for those who are wondering, this album basically is supposed to feel like a long drive with nothing to no, I'm kidding. With
one might say.
No, like pondering a lot of things on like a long drive. That's pretty much the whole motif.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Especially with kind of the way it meanders in certain parts, where you're just kind of like those lulls and drives are just like, just trying to think of conversation, which it does definitely work for the concept, but for my personal enjoyment, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I respect it.
I think thematically it deals a lot with loneliness, travel by driving, like an automobile. Yeah. And then rural life. I read somewhere that it talked about suburban angst, which is
you can definitely hear.
Yeah. I think it's bittersweet in a lot of ways because I don't think that there's a lot of music like this anymore.
No.
And I think that's really cool because it reminds me a lot of like bare bones Midwest emo.
Yes, totally.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's like not necessarily like a landmark, but it like laid the foundation, like the groundwork for something like
American football.
Yeah. Like something like all those Midwest emo bands that came out like in the
late 90s.
Yeah. Like I feel like that was like they might have heard this record and were like, this is exactly
this is a template. Going. Yeah.
So I played the shit out of Dramamine.
I guess it'll let us hop right in then. Yeah, Dramamine is a fantastic opener, I will say.
It's good. I think it does a really good job of setting the tone for the record.
Definitely.
Like, you really are put in this place. And I like how the lyrics are kind of heavy, but like also just mainly observant. That's what I really like about, I'm guessing Isaac Brock wrote the lyrics.
I would assume so.
Okay, because usually the lead singer usually does.
Not in the description.
All right. Another job for AJ.
I can double check.
What else do you like about Dramamine?
No, I mean, it's really just that. I think it does a good job of like setting the tone and the lyrics were pretty cool.
I like the 6A feel of the instrumentation. As we said before recording, it does give off a lot of Built to Spill vibes, especially with the guitar work.
Yes.
Which I enjoyed in parts. Here, definitely so. But I do like the sound, how it definitely captures the melancholy vibe of the whole album, and just kind of like the sleepy kind of feel too. But it's a nice way to open the album.
It's yes, all lyrics are written by Isaac Brock.
Cool.
And all music was composed by the band. It's doomer music.
Doomer.
Do you know
like the Wojak?
Yes. Yeah, it's doomer
I'm uncultured.
Music.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's like a meme. It's not that like
nah. It's just like it's like goof.
Yeah. So like when I first heard it, it was like on this playlist of doomer music, and I was like, yeah, this is speaking to me. So I saw Dramamine on there, and I gave it a listen, and I was like, then like the whole playlist of the album was somewhere on YouTube, and then I listened to the whole thing. and I would just listen to it over and over and over again when I was like, I don't know, 15.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of it was a lot of emotions at first, and I think like Dramamine stuck with me. Like I consistently listen to that song, and I think it's like probably the strongest like track on the album.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely the most kind of like, I'd say like well crafted of all of them. But
I think Modest Mouse really evolved from this.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they progress, because this album is very abrasive.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's very like, I don't want to say bare bones, but like it's like they weren't necessarily like fully confident that this is who they were yet.
Yeah.
I think I can kind of see that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And it was like when you get to like their sophomore album, which I can't remember the name of. It's the one with Float On.
Mm-hmm. The green one, right?
Yes.
It's that one.
Yeah, the green album.
No, not the green. It's not as compressed.
Good News for People Who Love Bad News, I believe.
Okay.
Or no, that's not even their sophomore. That was like their fourth album. Holy moly.
Oh, shit.
I think like the evolution from album to album to album, like they really scaled up.
Okay.
And which is why like songs like Good Times Are Killing Me and Float On like really like exploded, because
just the sound was more developed.
Like coming into themselves. Yeah. Like they were they have a couple popular songs. They weren't like they weren't like a one-hit wonder.
But like seeing how they kind of start here and then develop is like a very interesting thing.
Absolutely.
Appreciating their discography. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like it's not like, like to compare it to Pearl Jam, it's like all of those members were in bands before.
Yeah.
Like Mother Love Bone and whatever. And they pretty much just like took the members of Mother Love Bone, picked up Eddie Vedder, and then it was like, that's Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so like 10 is so complete, and it's like they knew what they were.
Yeah.
And I feel like sonically, at least, this debut from Modest Mouse is like very infantile, and I think that's in a way,
part of the charm.
Yeah, it's so rad. Like, you don't get that so much. Like, it's not overproduced at all.
It's, if anything, it's very underproduced.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, I think that's so interesting, because like for me, like one of my favorite bands is Nirvana, and like when you listen to Bleach, very underproduced.
Yeah.
And then you go into Nevermind, and Nevermind's super overproduced. Yeah. And then you go back to In Utero, and it's like right in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's like that, experiencing that, but like via Modest Mouse, going from album to album is like super cool, because like they didn't have like this super explosive like Smells Like Teen Spirit.
No, yeah, they were just like trying whatever on this album.
Which is so cool. Like, I don't feel like bands do that anymore. Like,
they just kind of come in the gate knowing what they want to be, and then just evolving that. Yeah.
No offense to anybody that likes Greta Van Fleet. I fucking hate Greta Van Fleet.
That's okay.
But Greta Van Fleet came in knowing that they were ripping off
Led Zeppelin,
and they owned it.
Yep.
And they were terrible.
And here they still are.
But they owned it.
Yeah.
And you gotta give them credit for that.
I heard that some of their material is getting better, and they are kind of having their own original thing, like somewhat.
We will not be listening.
That's fair.
For all you Fleet heads, apologies.
Tough.
Yeah.
You Mac
I will not apologize. I'm sorry you have bad taste.
Oh my goodness.
If I wanted to listen to a Led Zeppelin song, I'd listen to Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin 4, exactly.
I will say when I first heard the album with Safari songs, I forget what it's called, but I was really into it. I was like, oh shit, it's like Led Zeppelin but more. And then like a year later, I was like, this sucks. This is like so boring.
His voice is also kind of annoying. I mean, I know it's just the delivery, but it's like,
yeah.
Just singing where we've been.
What if Robert Plant, but more whiny and little.
So we can kind of segue back.
I can scream. Like, good for you, man. Good for you.
So we can kind of like segue back a little bit into Modest Mouse. Float On was the only song I had heard before listening to this, to this record. And I will say, like, that was the only preconceived notion that I had.
Okay.
So when I jumped into this record initially, I was like, wow, this is nothing like... Float on. Like, nothing. None of that shit was there. But I will say, I think I'm going to have to give them more of a listen, given how adamant you are about their progression as musicians and as a band. Because that really fascinates me. If you could see, like, if I could see where they kind of, like, derive from compared to their older material and their newest material, I think that's very intriguing. So I will definitely have to keep listening to their discography.
They have a ton of EPs.
They seem like a band that would have a ton of EPs.
Like, I just think that like there's something so raw about it that like
them or just this album.
Definitely. Like, and then like their early sound that is so like,
especially with the vocal delivery.
Enthralling.
Yeah. Like it's rough, man. Like it's very scratchy. It's not trained at all, but like there's a lot of emotion in there.
Especially on like tracks like 6 through like
what is it? Atomizes, Ionizes.
That one.
Ionizes and Atomizes.
Like 6 through, I'd say like maybe even like 8. Yeah. I feel like his delivery, he just like really shreds his vocals.
Yeah, but Beachside Property's so good though.
We're gonna go right through. We're gonna break through, in fact.
Yes.
To our second track, Breakthrough. It's a banger.
This one's
I actually really like this one.
This one made it on a playlist for me.
Same here, actually. This one in a later track. I really just like the lyrics on this one. I love how stream of consciousness his lyric rating is. Like, also, it's so funny, like, Alek, you used the word pejorative, and I'm not sure if you knew that from this album, but I was like, this is the Alek album. Alek used the word pejorative recently. I just heard the word pejorative.
So it calls
it's the Alek song.
Yeah. That's how it works, guys.
That's how I think, I guess.
I just so this is gonna make me sound like a dork. But when I was in high school, I took like AP language, and like we did vocab lessons all the time. And like there's so much of that just riddled in my brain.
Yeah.
And so like pejorative was just one of those words. And like I just use it sometimes. And it's like, I don't know, it's like a smart guy.
Yeah,
word.
It's cool. Like, you flex your knowledge.
It's a good word.
It's awesome.
It's a good word. Anyway, sorry, what were we gonna say?
I was gonna say I really love the energy of the song. I think it's a nice pickup from the first track. And I think it's like the most kind of traditional song on this entire album, which I think makes it a lot easier to get into and listen to.
It's very palatable. I'd say the first two are fairly palatable.
Definitely.
Like the first one's more of a tone setter, and then this one felt like more of like a cohesive
just like a radio hit if there was one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like how crunchy the song sounds. It still captures the vibe of the album, but in a more accessible way. I think that's what its strongest part. Anything else to add?
Nope.
All right.
Then we shall go to track number 3, Custom Concern.
This one's okay. I feel like tracks 1 through 5 I'm pretty invested in. After that, my interest kind of wanes. But here I'm not. This is probably my least favorite of the 5-track run. It's, like a fine little sad core acoustic ditty, but not really for my kind of thing. Very nice guitar work though.
I think this track honestly goes on a little bit longer than I needed to.
And I think that's a flaw a lot of these tracks have. This is a very sluggish album.
Yes. 100%.
I admire their creative ambition, as you said, though, Alek.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, I really do. Because there really aren't a lot of bands like this anymore. So the fact that they are kind of just finding themselves, kind of getting their footing, I can appreciate it for that. And with that in mind, I feel like I can be a bit more positive with the way I read off my notes.
Like now my positive spin.
Because that was a very good point, honestly. But I think with this track, it just kind of went on a little bit longer than I would have liked.
Yeah. Also, there's like a cello that plays in the outro, some kind of like big string instrument.
I thought I heard something like that.
But that's right. Nice little flair in there. Even though there's like bare bone production, and when the moments where they add a little more, it definitely helps bolster the track up. And here's like a good moment of that with the quote unquote cello in the outro, if that's what it is. But anything else?
No, I think we should go into this next track. So track number 4 is called Might. It's wildly short.
It is a rarity on the album, but I actually really like this one. I love the sound of the guitars. It reminds me kind of like a Western almost. Gives me cowboy vibes.
Straight cowboy vibes.
Like that one Mac DeMarco record.
Obviously, no. I'm not a Mac DeMarco guy.
Oh, come on.
I've never listened to Mac DeMarco.
I only know Attack DeMarco from the Eric Andre show.
I only know Mike Penis from the Eric Andre show.
No, dude, his shit's fire, dude. Straight up chlamydia, not gonna lie.
Do you know who he is? Yeah, I really don't have a lot to say about this 4th track, though. Like, honestly, it's just really short, and I just kind of felt like The guitars were nice, but I don't really think there was anything I could like really pick out. There are ones where I can.
Yeah.
This one just really there isn't.
I think for me it's the guitars and the percussion has almost kind of like a marching, almost like soundtrack kind of vibe with the emphasized snare, which I really like, and I just like the strings overall. I think it's a nice short little sweet song.
I got nothing.
Fair enough.
That's fair. Shall we move on to a track that I actually really appreciate?
I'm down.
Guys, this next track is called Lounge, and this song fucks. Like, I actually...
Yeah, it's very interesting, a very unique track.
It reminds me of, like, Infant Tango, just like...
By the Residents.
Just, like, a little bit. Like, with the way that, where, like, the part where it's like...
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is about that, but, like, I'm just like, God damn, this is kind of cool. They really just went balls to the wall. And, like, before that part, it's like... I don't know.
It sounds like sleazy, like lounge music.
Literally, I wrote sleazy in my notes.
And then it transitions in the back half to this just like really like mellow kind of guitar centric piece that just kind of fades out. It's very cool. I don't want to say it, but dichotomy.
Bazinga!
We're going, boys. Family heads, keep a counter up. That's 2 dichotomies, 1 bazinga.
2 dichotomies, 1 bazinga.
Oh my god, that's horrifying.
So Lounge by Modest Mouse. I'm amazed that they were able to kind of like inject this song into the record because it really there's no other song on this record that sounds like this.
Which I guess can kind of go for a few of these tracks. A lot of them have their own unique identity, which is very respectable. Here, definitely so. I think it's the most unique, just in the way that it's structured, and I guess conceptually, just kind of like I don't really know what the song's about, but it just sounds like it's such like its own thing when I think about it. Oh, it's about a man going to a strip club. I wrote it down.
Yeah, I kind of got
sense,
that.
Yeah,
I kind of got that vibe, even without hearing the lyrics. It just kind of sounds like what I imagine.
When I think of people at a strip club, I think of Modest Mouse.
I think of Isaac Brock.
You fumbled.
I think of Isaac Brock's completely different concept.
The guitar is really fascinating on this track, just for how rhythmic it tries to be.
Yeah.
And this one was just kind of interesting. This one kind of had me bobbing my head a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate it for what it is.
I need to work on where I'm listening to some of these albums because a lot of times I will listen to these because I listen to this album and the next album at a hockey game that I was working at. And
not the vibe.
No, it's not the vibe because I always kind of see like I think I need to either switch the order of like me listening to it in passing and then like actively.
I wish you had a car, man. If you were driving around, like music hits so fucking different, bro. Like when you're driving by yourself, it is a whole new world of like, especially music. Like that in and of itself is like a big step, but like having the music to go with it is like a huge like complementary piece.
Especially when you got nowhere to go.
Yeah, which is relevant.
I know.
That's true. It's the core theme, in fact. I'm sure if maybe once I drive again, I'll listen to this on a very long car ride.
With nothing to think about.
Exactly. Anything else to say about Lounge, guys?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, let's move on to track number 6, Beachside Property.
So here's where my fatigue sets in, which I'm ashamed to say happens just so early. But like I just immediately taken out like from here on. There are good moments later on the album, but like I'm just like my attention starts to wane. Stuff starts to sound kind of similar, and I just lose interest.
And I can completely see that, honestly. I feel like my fatigue doesn't happen until like maybe like track 10, I'd say. But this
mine's like 8, 9.
Yeah,
this one's like interesting. Beachside Property. It's love
this song.
It's a nice vibe, and like, like instrumentally, it's a nice vibe. He really knows how to scream. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This is I listed this as one of my favorites off the album. One of 3. Which is not a good score if you're keeping count. But,
yeah. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, I just think that it's very powerful in a lot of ways. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just kind of like, again, raw, like
visceral.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like I you feel it, which is I think important.
Yeah, I don't really know. I will say like their lyricism is certainly unique, and it's kind of like very interesting to dissect. but just like at points I just don't really want to hear what they're saying, just because like the music itself isn't like grasping my attention, which is what I more so look for in music is the 100%. Instrumentation.
Yep.
Yeah, but so if that doesn't grab me, I'm not with the lyrics. So that's just why I really have nothing to say about Beachside Property.
Yeah, for Christ's sake, I listen to Blade.
Blade soundtrack.
No, I'm talking like Blade with the E's, like Drain Gang.
Oh, Drain Gang. Okay, yeah.
So like, yeah, that is not lyrical whatsoever, but the beats are really good.
Exactly. I love me my fucking jazz fusion, my prog rock.
I would say about this track, I do like how like oddly like dirty and grungy like the end half of this song sounds.
Yeah, when it gets like kind of heavier.
I think it's cool. I think it's fascinating. But I say we just keep going.
Yeah. Next up, we have my least favorite track on the album, Ionizes and Atomizes. I do not care for this track, and some of it comes from the delivery. It's very abrasive for this somber track, which is a cool juxtaposition of this like really chill instrumental with these over-the-top vocals, but I personally just don't really like it.
The verses kind of annoy me on this one.
Yeah.
It's like so staccato when he like screams. Like it's one thing when he's like really like belting out
like
or whatever.
Flows, yeah.
But it's kind of like like it sounds like it hurts. Like it really sounds like it hurts.
Yeah.
However, I do say the bass and guitar really carry on this track. Other than that, though, it's just a little bit repetitive too.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that.
Yeah, like the instrumentation is fine enough, but it's nothing like super. It's not anything that like I'm super engaged with, and just on top of the abrasive vocals, I really have nothing complimentary to say that is to my liking.
It was one of my honorable mentions, actually.
Okay.
I don't know why, because I don't really remember.
Oh, what do you like about the song?
I don't really remember.
I see. But a common theme of this album.
I just yeah, it was like one of my. It was like 4 out of the. It was like the 4th song.
Yeah.
If I had to
just missed the 3.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I guess with nothing else to say, we should head south to this next track.
A surf rock band. Yeah, this one is called Head South. Again, I feel like the guitar really carries. Here's another thing about this record that I noticed. It very much likes to utilize underlicks, like a lot. But they're very like
I don't know what that means. Please explain.
Sorry. So
no. Like I just don't like
an underlick. An underlick is basically like a melody that plays underneath like vocals.
Oh, okay.
And the melody might be more the non-sung melody that might be more memorable than the thing actually being sung.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah,
it's a lot of pop music will utilize that. Like you can see that a lot in a lot of Taylor Swift's like. More manufactured, like stuck within her record label kind of songs. It's fascinating. A lot of pop music uses it. It's interesting. But I learned that term from a TikToker called Vibe Machine.
Oh, very cool.
He does a lot of like music education, like stuff, specifically like how to make like a song that's catchy. Like it's interesting. Yeah. I highly recommend looking him up. But
anyway, Head South.
Head South. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like this track in particular sounds like someone threw like a bunch of instruments in a blender, if that makes sense. Because like it's kind of like all over the place in terms of like what instruments are where.
Yeah.
Like you have like vocals like here, like it's here, there, and everywhere, as John Lennon once wrote.
They were probably just playing around with Pro Tools.
I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of fucking around on this album.
No, I mean, and I respect it given like sort of the insight of like this is the beginning of a great journey, you know, but like this one kind of reminded me of like just Built to Spill, like Keep It Like a Secret from what I've listened to, from what we covered, I guess, as a whole, but just like a tad sloppier.
This album is very sloppy, which it definitely is part of the charm, but if you're not into it, then you're just not really going to fuck with a lot of these songs.
But I understand why people would be into it. You know what I mean?
Like the DIY kind of just like fuck around, find out, and just like, and you'll find something you like if you're into this kind of like a scene, I guess.
And I will say, like the lyrics, even though I haven't really mentioned a lot about the lyrics are very like introspective.
Yeah.
And I think I can also really appreciate that regardless of what it sounds like, even if it just sounds like absolute like trash. Like it doesn't sound like absolute trash like that much to me, but like
this album it's not bad at all whatsoever. It's just a little unengaging. And I did have a note that I wanted to share, Matt. I just said, Matt, is this how you feel listening to American football?
Not anymore.
The first time,
Not anymore. I think there, as you mentioned that, I think this kind of does share like a similar vein. Like I feel like maybe upon another listen to this, like way later down the line, maybe in a car on the road,
we could have another American football situation. And for those who don't know, that is when there's an album brought on the show that we initially do not like, but over time we grew to appreciate.
Yeah, I hated American football by American football for a very long time, and then I found out that I actually really like the lyrics a lot, and the math rock. But we're not talking about American football. We got to talk about the rest of this album.
Exactly.
Dog Paddle.
Yes, Dog Paddle's the next one. This one is probably the sloppiest on the album, but it makes sense because the gimmick was everyone switched instruments.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's goofy. It's inoffensive. It's short.
I think that Isaac's delivery on this one, it sounds similar to like Mick Jagger a little bit.
Really?
In the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
Like it's weird. Like in this one, I was like, I don't know if it was like the vocal preset or whatever that was happening, but like it sounded like an older song to me.
Gotcha. I can't really see that. I mean, I feel like it's just more of the same, but a lot more sloppy. But that is an interesting kind of observation. I wouldn't imagine that. Besides,
I didn't say I liked Mick Jagger, AJ.
No, I'm just saying. I can't really see the Rolling Stones in this song.
That's pretty much the only part.
Yeah.
Like pretty much just that his delivery kind of reminded me of it.
That's fair.
In this sort of like weird like way that he is.
And then breathes into the mic.
Yeah, no, it's very stream of consciousness though. It's very mantra like.
Yeah.
He repeats things like a lot. But yeah, it's actually a pretty short song.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's because the three bandmates switched their fucking instruments. So that
couldn't keep it up that long.
No. We can talk about Walking the Dog. This is actually gonna be Walking the Dog Part 5.
Oh my god.
By Fun. If we can really squint hard enough.
Exactly. And Nate Roos would be proud.
All right. Let's go to number 10. Novocain Stain.
I enjoyed this one. This was kind of like a lot more mellow, a lot less abrasive, a lot more polished, which I was definitely into. It was a nice change of pace from everything we heard in like the past 4 tracks. So I definitely appreciated this little palate cleanser.
I liked it before it picked up a bit more.
Like when it was more kind of like mellow.
Yeah. I think I liked it more like in the intro than anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes a lot of like, and usually I'm fine when songs want to have like subsections. I feel like a lot of these tracks, like a lot of the segues into these other sections of each track are like really not undeserved, but like a little bit like
anticlimactic,
a little bit abrupt.
Yeah.
And like, I know I've listened to so many like artists now at this point, like that have done avant-garde or like really like on a dime, like
switches,
tone changes and switches, like Mr. Bungle and even like The Residents and stuff like that. However, I feel like with this record, they do it a lot, and it really just kind of scratches me in the face.
Yeah, I think when you kind of keep doing it, and like that's not like your gimmick, like Mr. Bungle, it kind of like loses its power in certain sections
because it's purposeful.
Yeah,
like when Mr. Bungle does it.
Exactly.
You know. So I mean, from what it's worth, though, I think the beat was pretty good on this one.
Yeah, like especially the backbeat,
the backbeat hi hats.
Yeah, like
that shit was pretty gas.
And there's some nice little Built to Spill-esque guitars in there. Common theme. But yeah, I think this was a nice solid track and a nice kind of like, okay, we're back in.
Anything to say about Novocain Stain?
Nope.
Then let's keep on cruising through to the Tundra or Desert.
And then we're back to I'm out of it again.
You had me. You lost me.
Yeah,
I'm back. It's over.
That is a common like.
Essentially, yeah. That is the peaks and valleys of this album.
This song, the whole crux of the song, like musically, there's like a sliding guitar theme that kind of keeps happening over and over.
There is a slide guitar on this song.
I want to shout out the lyric "Every sick fickle fucker." That's a great opening line.
Yep.
Right up there with "Sucking on Chili Dog" from Jack and Diane by John Cougar Mellencamp.
Around the 2-minute mark, I thought the song was pretty like but until like the 2-minute mark, it got like really good for me.
Yeah,
it was around. Then like afterwards,
yeah, there's a cool like little disco beat. There's a nice build up to that section as well, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
I said bass line is kind of just gooning.
It's gooning?
I don't think bases can goon, so that's a little problematic.
I think he was a little bored writing these down.
You're not wrong.
Just straight gooning. It's great.
My bass line be gooning.
Oh man, yeah, I could kind of see it gooning, just sort of gooning around and stuff.
Can we please refrain from gooning anymore? we are reformed men here.
Yes. Anyway, Matt, finish up your thought and we'll move on.
Honestly, I don't have anything else to say about this track. I have some about like the later ones.
All right, then I guess we can move on to the song that doesn't exist, Ohio.
Yeah, to start, why does every like indie band have a song about Ohio or titled Ohio in some sort of facet?
I guess like they think they're the quirky for talking about, like, like filler states or just like states where they think nothing really happens.
Yeah, and then like it's completely irrelevant because nothing actually does happen there.
Because it doesn't exist.
They should write. You know what else? You know what another state like that is? Wyoming.
Yep.
Like they should just like own that. Like give up Ohio. Let's start writing about Wyoming now.
My sister's been to Wyoming, and I asked her what was out there, and I still don't remember what she told me.
She stepped into the void. That's crazy.
She never came back. But last month's guest, Elizabeth, actually went to Wyoming as well on tour, and she said it's quite beautiful.
Okay,
but I don't know what else is what's in there though.
Maybe they're like suppressing like the press news about Wyoming. Maybe Wyoming's like literal.
It's like
heaven.
The Area 51
That's
of
so
the
cool.
US.
I'm never going.
They're like suppressing the news. It's actually this like really awesome place. They don't want people knowing about it.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so beautiful. There's like mountains and Mormons and things. And I'll be like, yeah.
Every good state has Mormons, dude.
I'll just be like, yeah, that's so cool. I'm still not going.
I was not thrilled about this track being like 6 minutes.
Nah, it definitely does not need to be.
Yeah, this album drags on towards the end.
Yeah, very, very much of a slog.
6 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Okay.
Then space travel is boring. It's 2 minutes.
And that's it.
The only thing I really have to say is like, there's like this weird like guitar tremolo thing that's happening in the left channel like every once in a while. And I can't tell if it was like a lap steel or like someone just on the whammy bar or like, I don't know. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't know
what it was.
Yeah. I couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell you either because I don't remember much about this track.
That was about it.
Other than the fact that it's called Ohio. I like the way that they say Ohio, just like the delivery's kind of silly. And I like the ride cymbal because I like the sound of ride cymbals.
I think there's a Justice song called Ohio.
Damn, dude, what is in Ohio? What about Ohio?
I think off of the album, like, what the fuck is out there?
Are they from Ohio? Where are they from?
Let me look that up.
I don't fucking know.
Where is this mouse from?
And
why are they so modest?
Issaquah, Washington.
That's another filler. Well, no, they got Seattle. Never mind.
Makes sense because the studio they recorded in is in Washington, Moon Studio.
I would check out.
So that does track.
What the fuck is Issaquah?
Issaquah these nuts, dude.
All right,
anyway.
AJ, we're going to get out at 3.
Well, as Alec makes his exit, we can move on to this next track. Exit does not exist.
Okay.
Fuck.
These lyrics are
trapped.
These lyrics are really interesting, but the end portion of this song is rough. Like it's just rough to get through. It just keeps going on and it just feels like borderline endless at times.
What? Yeah. Is it Radiohead Exit Music Does Not Exist?
Exit music for a film?
Yeah, I think you're right. Exit Music does. No, I'm thinking Sun Kill Moon. Sun Kill Moon also has a song called Exit Does Not Exist.
Gotcha. Oh, wow. Huh.
Fascinating. Is it a cover or does it sound anything like this?
Nope. I don't think it's a cover.
Well, that's probably because there's nothing really to write home about.
That's true. It doesn't exist.
He's got a cool little beat, some nice tom drums.
Reddit says abrasive music is a bit of an acquired taste.
Who would have guessed?
No, but I just think it's interesting because you use the word abrasive, and I think that's very accurate. But also, like, it's interesting that other people also consider it that.
Oh shit! Whoa! I didn't even look that up.
Yeah,
that was off the dome. Hell yeah! I guess I can be proud that Reddit agrees with me, which I don't think I want.
I'm gonna win 30 Reddit gold.
So much karma.
We have to mark the. We have to. We have to mark this day on the wiki, actually.
Oh, yes, the day AJ won over Reddit.
The day the music died.
Family Heads are getting towards the end. We got a few more tracks left, and we're getting towards one that's a bit of a highlight. We got Talking Shit About a Pretty Sunset. I quite like this track a lot.
No, yeah. It's like such a diamond in the rough, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Because the harmonies on this one are, first of all, really, really good. It's such a pleasant vibe. And like even the music breaks in this track are like
they're more interesting.
They feel more deserved. Yeah, if that makes sense. They feel more earned. Yeah. So also the lyrics are so raw on this one, and they really stood out to me too. It's definitely one of the better songs on this record.
I would 100% agree. I just love the feeling of the song, and I guess kind of like Novocain Stain, it's another palate cleanser where it's just a lot more polished and accessible, easier to get into. I really love how the ride cymbal sounds on here. It's very delicate. And I like the how it increases in tempo the more that it goes on, especially with the guitars. And it's just... Oh, and there's the orchestra that comes back at the end as well.
That's
which
true.
I quite like a lot.
That is true.
Lots to love about the song.
Yeah, it's a groove. I think behind Dramamine is probably my number 2.
Yeah.
I think this is where his Isaac Brock's songwriting really comes to light. I think it's really... I think that as a record, like this is pretty well written as far as lyrics go. Like it's very interesting to explore like how they would like try to portray this kind of idea of this melancholic loneliness from being, you know, in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I think this song kind of encapsulates that, where it's like it's very cynical but also like
a little bit of hope.
Yeah. Like there's still the sunset.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's just talking shit about it.
That's how you make your own fun in this hellhole.
Right, exactly.
Well, we're almost done. 2 more tracks left. Now we have Make Everyone Happy / Mechanical Birds.
Again, it would have just been fine if it was just a slow song, and then it just did the thing where it just does a complete tone shift again.
Yeah, but kind of like in a similar situation, Renee Rapp, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like how there's like this intro, and then it just sort of like, boom,
builds,
you know?
Yeah.
Really Largo kind of like feel. And like, don't get me wrong, I think, again, when it's more nuanced and when it's done more like smooth, it works.
Yeah.
However, with this one, it just, again, feels longer than it needs to be.
I definitely agree there. I mean, I feel like the acoustic guitar complements the main riff very well. I like the little drum break that happens like halfway through. And their use of channels is kind of interesting on this track as well. But other than that, it's just the 15th track of the album.
It sure is.
That sums it up.
Yep. And we close out with Space Travel is Boring, one of the shortest tracks on the album. And fine closer, more of the same.
Yeah.
I think it's a good closer.
Yeah, I think it shifts the idea of like travel itself is just boring.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much just sums it up.
Encapsulates the theme.
Yeah.
The whole album.
It's a good little bow tie.
Exactly.
Well, I guess without anything else to talk about, we could get into our final thoughts. So, Alec, what'd you think of Nothing to Think About by Modest Mouse?
Yeah, I think it's a very emotionally palpable record. I think, like I said earlier, it's super raw, and I think that like if you give that credit, and I'm glad like they got another look, to like keep going. I think that like you could see the potential. Yeah, like these guys really like, and you know, with the effort of hindsight, like we can see that like it. That
you can see the building blocks. Yeah.
Right, like they got there, and so. Yeah, I think for a debut, like it's pretty solid. Like there's definitely worse.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's like while it's not like gonna knock your socks off. I think that it's like I don't know.
It's like a slow burn kind of.
It's not like rudimentary. It's not the right word, but it's the one that's on my mind. It's like it's just like subtle. Yeah, like it's not like overt, which I think is nice. It's not like in your face. Yeah. It's just kind of like this is a nice casual listening experience where like I can kind of vibe with and I can kind of understand where and what they were trying to say.
That's completely fair. So what kind of rating would you give it?
Probably I'm a harsh grader if that's fine.
That's totally fine.
Perfectly fine.
I'd say like a strong 5 to a light 6.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was feeling too.
So, Matt, what are your final thoughts then?
I say, although this record has a lot of really interesting tracks and some ones that are like I mentioned before, diamonds in the rough. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not really enjoy this album as a whole that much. I really tried to sit with this album a few times because I wanted to have mostly positive notes. But each time I listened, there was just this like feeling that it took like a really long time to get to the end.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of one of the things with me. Like there's a lot of fat that I feel like could have been trimmed. Like even in terms of like trying to find their sound, I feel like they could have at least made the album a little shorter. Like keeping some of like the more like abrasive sort of like, I don't know, noise sleaze kind of like some of like the noise sleaze kind of like
abrasiveness.
Yeah. If they just like shortened it a little bit so that it wasn't like an hour and like 12 minutes?
I don't remember.
I think.
Yeah.
I feel like that honestly would have made me like the album more.
Yeah.
Normally,
I think if it was like 11 to 13 tracks, it would be perfect.
Definitely.
Perfect. Like a ballpark, a perfect amount of tracks. Normally I'm okay with people's delivery. Like I'm usually like, that doesn't really bother me. I'm more of like an instrumental kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, and if the delivery at least like matches sort of the instrumental, which it does here, I'm fine.
But just the style is so weird and I'm just not the biggest fan of it.
And around like track 6 onward, it does start to get like a little annoying.
Yeah.
The bass and the guitar kind of carry the record. I feel like honestly, like this whole album really utilizes the underlick kind of like strategy. And the drums like do a pretty good job of keeping up with it.
Yeah.
I probably will not be listening to this in full again. However, there are a couple songs that I did add to some playlists.
Yeah.
Talking Shit on a Pretty Sunrise, Lounge, and then actually Breakthrough. Those 3 were sort of like the ones where I was like, this is good.
So overall,
let's hope that they continue it sort of that way.
Yeah.
But in terms of my rating, I'd probably go with like a 5, like a 5.4 maybe. And then like, C tier.
Yeah.
It's like, it definitely works for what it's going for, I think. And the lyrics are good. And I think it's inoffensive enough because like they really do set a tone and they stick to that tone. It just, again, kind of really wasn't for me either as a whole.
Yeah.
But I will check out their other discography.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you guys both said. I mean, they're definitely just kind of trying to figure out themselves, but I definitely respect, and I like that they're throwing all these ideas out there, but at the same time, they didn't really know when to reel it back, which makes this album a slog to get through, a lot of fat to trim that we just do not need here. It tends to meander, which might be part of the concept about, it's more about the journey than the destination, but if I don't like the journey, I don't want to be on it. Instrumentation is solid enough. It's just very similar sounding and repetitive. The vocals are good in places, are really annoying in other places, specifically like Ionizes and Atomizes when he just gets so into it. I'm just not the biggest fan of. And as I said before, when they add more kind of elements to add texture, like orchestra or aux percussion, it definitely bolsters a track, but there's not a lot of that in there. And yeah, I'm probably not going to come back to this. I'm curious to see where they go, but as a starting point, it's a little weak. I'm going to say like a C minus. But from I'd say, mixed debut album, we go to one of the best of an acclaimed debut album. We got 10 by Pearl Jam.
Easily one of the best debuts, I think, that has ever been recorded.
This is very consistently solid through and through.
They knew their sound, like you mentioned, and they really stuck to it, but in like a really tasteful way.
Yeah. One of the forefathers of grunge.
Yep, big 4.
Yep, it's literally the forefathers. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains.
Well, I guess I'll get right into the history then.
Sure.
10 was released August 27th, 1991 on Epic Records and is the debut album of iconic grunge band Pearl Jam, who formed in 1990. At the time, the band consisted of Jeff Ament on bass, Stone Gossard on rhythm guitar, Mike McCready on lead guitar, Eddie Vedder on vocals, and Dave Cruson on drums. But now the band tours with Matt Cameron as their drummer.
Yeah, they've gone through a lot of drummers.
Yeah, I saw.
But 3 members, Stone Gossard, Mike McCready, and Jeff Ament, left a dissolved Mother Love Bone and met up with Eddie Vedder and Dave Cruson to create Pearl Jam. 10 was not an immediate success, but was number 2 on the Billboard Top 200 by the end of 1992, with Even Flow, Alive, and Jeremy becoming hits. This album is certified 13 times platinum and is Pearl Jam's most commercially successful record. It delves into ideas of depression, suicide, loneliness, and murder, as well as more social issues like psychiatric hospitals and homelessness.
This is all from Wikipedia.
Yeah, and yes, it is. They actually left off a bunch of songs that ended up being on Rearview Mirror.
Okay.
Like Yellow Ledbetter, which is one of their most popular songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was actually recorded for 10.
Gotcha.
And then they didn't put it on 10, and they re-released it later on a single for Jeremy.
Oh, as a B-side?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it blew up, so then they released it on Rearview Mirror, which is their greatest hits from 91 through 2003.
Gotcha. Huh.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, I guess without further ado, should we just hop right into it?
Let's do it.
All right. Starting off with Once, very good opener. Definitely sets the tone. Great vocals. I love how, in comparison to other grunge bands, the more they kind of take more with like jammy stuff or just like classic rock influence from the 70s.
100%.
Which I really like a lot.
Yeah.
It's not as much like metal or punk as like other grunge bands. It's something that I'm more familiar with.
So it's funny because I think that all four of them have very unique like flavors. And I think that as far as Pearl Jam goes, it's like literally the most core rock.
Yes.
As far as grunge is concerned. Whereas like Alice in Chains is more thrash, more metal, more depressing, more, which is stuff I love. But like I get why people like they're not the most popular. Nirvana is more punk influenced and more like garage
DIY
band. Yeah. And then like I'd even go as I think Soundgarden's a lot more similar to Pearl Jam, but they're also heavier in a lot of ways. They're kind of the in between of like if Pearl Jam was here and like Alice in Chains was here.
Yeah,
like
they're Soundgarden.
Yeah. So Once is a song that Stone Gossard actually recorded and was out looking for a singer.
Okay.
And so Eddie Vedder was working at a gas station in San Diego, and when he stumbled upon this track, he recorded vocals right away and sent them to the band, and the rest is history.
So he had no musical like experience before.
I don't know if that's. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to say he was in like small stuff and like sang here and there, but I don't want to. I also don't know for like absolute certainty.
Gotcha.
I just know that like he had a really hard like upcoming, which influences a lot of songs on this.
Yeah, this album is very dark.
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh my god.
But it's like, and I'm really excited to talk about Black because.
That song, oh man, I can't wait to get to track number 5.
Yeah, it's like there's just there's a lot. So there's a heavy concept to this album. And Eddie Vedder, to quote, I didn't write down a source. I don't know why I didn't write down a source, but this is a quote from somewhere. Vedder explained that the lyrics told the story of a young man whose father dies on a live, causing him to go on a killing spree from Once.
Oh, yeah.
Which leads to his capture and execution on Footsteps. It was later revealed that Vedder's lyrics were inspired by his long-held hurt in discovering at age 17 that the man he thought was his father was not, and that his real father had already died.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he grew up somewhere in Illinois. I want to say it was near Chicago. And like ended up out in San Diego for some reason, and then ended up in Seattle with the band after Mother Love Bone became Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Eddie Vedder's so cool. I love their MTV Unplugged where they perform a lot of this record. There's a really anthemic moment where inspiring moment where he's so like me right now. I'm wearing a backwards hat. He takes it off and lets his hair loose, and like everybody freaks out. And it's like such a cool moment because he's like that was like a big deal. Like it wasn't hair metal. It was just like this. I'm a rock star.
This intimate moment. Yeah.
Where he's like letting his guard down. And I think that's so rad. But Once is really really powerful. It's like a punch.
Yeah, definitely.
It like really grabs
right
you.
from the get go.
Yeah, and it's like you want to listen to more.
Yeah,
you're like, because I remember. So this is one of my dad's favorite albums. He loves Pearl Jam, and he was like, when he like came across this record in '92, I think, because that's when it really got popular. He was like, he listened to Once and was like, yeah, this record kicks ass. I'm getting in this. And he listened to the whole thing all the way through, like probably 100 times. And it was like, he was like, yeah, Pearl Jam's the real deal.
Yeah, fair enough, because this album is extremely consistent all the way through.
Absolutely.
And it never like loses pace. If anything, it always just adds on.
Yep.
And even like though the first like 6, 7 tracks
songs,
are like the fantastic thing, like even the back half is still pretty fucking good and consistently solid. There's a lot to love on this album.
And that's why I think I really like it, because like it tonally stays exactly where you need it to.
Right. And I think that stems from them being more developed as musicians.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like Mother Love Bone was around from like 87.
Okay.
So like they had like 4 whole years.
Yeah. And that's to perfect their craft.
And that's a long time.
Yeah. To like really, to hone your craft. Exactly.
And you guys should listen to Mother Love Bone, by the way. Really tragic what happened to their lead singer, which is kind of a running theme with grunge bands.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Okay, I think I could take a guess. Given
it just like early 90s stuff, like drug addiction and overdosing and stuff like that, and it's really sad. But Mother Love Bone, what's their popular song?
Come and Get Your Love, actually.
No, they have a really popular song.
For those family heads who didn't get that reference, that AJ was referring to Redbone's "Come and Get Your Love," not Mother Love Bone.
Yeah, Mother Love Bone's really popular song is Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns. You should listen to that. It's like an 8-minute song.
I think I've heard that title.
Really, like if you love grunge, it's really important.
Well, that's some homework for us then, Matt.
I do love grunge from what I'm hearing so far.
So what'd you think about Once?
So I really just like, so I also love like the cheeky little intro where it's like, it sounds all like wavy and stuff like that. Like
fucking bookends the album, actually.
Fun fact, on re-releases, that does not exist.
Oh, really?
Fascinating.
Yes. So really interesting is the fact that most of this album is very different on subsequent
releases.
Yeah, like Even Flow is wildly different on Rearview Mirror and also on radio releases, and like it's really interesting. It's like you should do some research about that.
Okay.
It's well, actually, I guess if we're gonna get into it, Even Flow was they said Mike McCready said it was recorded 70 times or like 50 to 70 times, and that Stone Gossard is still unhappy with the way it turned out.
Oh shit.
So like
damn. That's some Steely Dan shit.
Yeah, so like you can imagine like that's why it's so wildly different. They probably re-recorded it again, and then I just remember something to do with the producer of 10 like made it so that like they changed it later on.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of stuff that they ended up unhappy with, and I don't know why, because I think 10 is super like
tight.
Yeah. And it was just interesting that like as a band they were like, no, we're gonna keep
this needs work.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Wow. I didn't know there was so much. I figured there's probably like lyrically a lot of like lore with this album, but I didn't think like production there'd be so many stories. Like Jesus Christ.
You should dude, there's so much.
One thing I just want to say before we move on to Even Flow about Once is that I just really love his delivery and how he just starts to like he really just
wails.
It's really, really good.
Especially in the chorus. Ooh.
Eddie Vedder's delivery is amazing. But we can go on to the Even Flow.
Would you say this is the biggest hit of the album?
No.
Okay.
Interesting.
Alive, technically.
Gotcha.
Okay, I can definitely see why. Yeah, because that song is also really fucking good. But Even Flow, this song rips. I played this at my aforementioned hockey job, and I got yelled at because of the themes.
Really?
Yes.
That's so lame.
Yes, I got yelled at. They were like, turn this shit off immediately. I was like,
wow,
it's fucking hockey.
It's
Get over yourselves,
dude. It's
like,
classic rock.
Like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's fucking hockey. Get over yourself. But no, like, oh man, one thing I really appreciate on this song, the fucking bass.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god, it's so like it really just like holds it. They're all together, but he really just like holds it together. Like holy shit,
it just fucking moves. I love it.
It's so like thick and like I don't even know how to describe it. Like
the way it sounds and the way it flows is just like so.
It flows evenly. Would you say?
One might say actually. I think that's where they got the concept, if you will.
No, like
I don't know if that's true. I'm pretty sure Even Flow has to do with something with
it's
drugs.
The homeless, I think.
Yeah,
it's about like a homeless person. I believe.
Is there like a curse word or something in it?
I don't know.
Is there like any swearing in the song?
I have to think
because
one that's sticking out to me is "Why Go," but I don't know about this one.
Yeah, because like I didn't.
He's been diagnosed.
Because when I played it,
some stupid.
The guy was like freaking the fuck out about it. He was like freaking the fuck out about it, and I was like, I didn't even hear anything. I can't help but think about the Adam Sandler SNL moment when he does the Eddie Vedder impersonation.
Yeah. I can't think. I always think of the
Steezus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steezus Christ from Skate.
The video game?
Yes.
He's based off Eddie Vedder?
No, people will make a character that looks like Jesus and he's skateboarding, and then they'll just play Even Flow over.
Gotcha.
As he's like posing like he's crucified.
That's pretty
like,
good.
Yeah. No, there are curse words. Like
oh, whoops.
What?
I see. Playing at the hockey game.
Yeah, towards the end. There's nothing like you can't even hear it. It's when he's like it's like him away, and it's like the oh yeah. Fuck it up.
Okay.
You can barely
it's just very yeah. The background shit.
Nice.
I really love.
You know what I'm talking about? That solo part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
when it happens.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, since you brought that up, I do love like how on this entire album, just all the guitar solos that just come out of they just pop in. Oh. They're always so fucking phenomenal, man.
They really are.
Like goddamn, Mike McCready, holy shit.
And Stone. Dude.
And Stone.
Yeah, they're so good. Also, what a badass name, Stone.
Yeah.
Like, I want to name my kid Stone. That is a fucking hard name.
Is this like his first name or is it last name?
Yeah, that's his real name.
That's his real first name?
Stone Gossard, yeah.
Damn.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I have a material as my last name. If I had a material as my first name,
that's dope as fuck.
God damn. I should
You'd be Clay Glass.
It's just Glass Matthews. Clay Glass. Oh man, I do like this track a lot though. Like Jesus,
yeah, it's a great single.
Shout out to Fataday Corngore who would play the Steezus meme all the time, which is why I knew this song before the album. So yeah,
it's just a classic.
It's good. It's popular now for a reason.
Next up, we have probably my favorite track on the album. We have Alive.
The lyrics are very good on this track.
Dude, the story's so fucked on this song.
I know, but oh my god.
But like the way that Eddie Vedder delivers them and like portrays them is very interesting.
Like I wish I could scream sing the words "You're Still Alive" like at a concert for them. Like god damn. I like how I think they frame the story well lyrically though,
definitely.
which I really appreciate.
And I like how it sounds so triumphant, yet but like originally the message was supposed to be kind of like cynical, but then the audience kind of changed Eddie Vedder's perception of it, which is really cool. So now it's kind of like this defiance instead of this like I guess like cynical exception, which I like a lot.
I like that. The chorus is very good.
The chorus is great. It's
one of the very first songs I learned on guitar.
Okay.
The boo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah, that's like I like know that.
It's a good riff.
That bit, yeah. And it's I was like super proud of that because I fucking love Pearl Jam.
I guess like we can get into like the lyrical content. This one's very fucked up. But
yeah, you can't really talk about this album without at least acknowledging what some of these tracks are about.
Yeah, which is definitely just all part of grunge, just talking about fucked up shit that makes you angsty.
It kind of comes with just the territory of the tone, I feel like.
So this is Eddie's dealing with the fact that he didn't know his real biological father until way later in his life. So it makes this fucked up story where when he's told that information, his mom starts like coming onto him.
Yep.
And like it fucks with his head.
Yep.
To the point where he goes on the murdering spree in once, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, dark concept, but killer fucking instrumental.
Gonna explode. 16 game out of my clothes.
But yeah, bomb fucking concept, bomb fucking song. Anything else you got to say?
Nah, I'm excited to talk about this next two.
Yeah, this next one's pretty good. Why go? This is not a favorite of this first run, but I still quite like it.
Again,
is a letter. What?
We're just waiting for you to finish.
Sorry, I like this song is rent free.
Nah, I like this track a lot. Like the bass is just fucking pristine on this track.
It sounds so sinister. I love it.
Like it's royal. It's a fucking royal bass. Royal Farms. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. No, I'm a fan. I'm a fan, honestly. And like, oh man, I love the way they paint like internal struggle with like societal pressure and individuality,
and mental illness.
Oh my god. And then he describes his mother's like absence, and like it's so tightly written.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that it's like 1991 and they have a female protagonist in a song.
True. Yeah.
Like that's so rad.
Dope.
Yeah. And it's like she's mentally ill and like she's also like a badass. Like
they force her away in this institution where that is not what she needs. but she's still fucking defiant.
Yeah, and her opinion is that like she's been diagnosed by some stupid fuck.
Yeah.
Like I love that line.
Especially his delivery too. The way he says fuck is so guttural.
It really is.
Yeah, this song kicks ass. I kind of like I not that I relate to it like in the sense that like I was forced to like go to psychiatric help, but like I feel like anybody that has gotten psychiatric help is like can relate to this.
Yeah, definitely.
In some degree where it's like you kind of feel trapped, you kind of feel like you're struggling, like you can't really like go anywhere and you got to like fight your way out anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool because I
Especially
think it's
for the
uplifting.
90s.
Like it's
Yeah.
like it's not like a oh, this is depressing and dreary and shit. Like it's like
It's like fight back, like be
absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very cool, especially for the 90s when like mental health wasn't taken as seriously as now. So good on you, Pearl Jam.
It's good they acknowledge that people feel this way.
Anything else?
No, honestly.
All right.
So excited to get into Black.
Me too.
Yeah, this is a great one. Probably like the emotional high point of this whole album.
This is probably my favorite track on the album.
Understandable.
Without a doubt.
Like, it's so warm despite the lyrical content.
Yeah.
It's
and
so
like,
pretty.
yeah.
So lush, man.
Just, I love the way that they talk about this sense of feeling like unfulfilled and this open-endedness, like this longing, like, oh my God.
Da, da, da.
Just the lyric, I know you'll be the star in someone else's sky. That fucking shreds my heart, dude.
Why can't it be mine? Yeah.
That's fucking brutal, man.
All the pictures have been washed in black. Like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Tattooed in black. Yeah. It's so I said Black is the most palpable track on the record. It is Vedder's best lyrical song with his storytelling capabilities on full display. Beautiful lines such as I know someday you'll have a beautiful life. I know you'll be a star in somebody else's sky, but why can't it be mine? I just like it's so gripping.
Yeah, man.
And I just think it's seriously it's actually a song that I watched a YouTube video about, like an essay, a video essay where Pearl Jam actually didn't want the song to be a hit.
Yeah.
And they like did everything they could to stop it.
Yeah, for being a single.
But
Yeah.
it still blew up, and like people still really adore this. And I think that like speaks to how beautiful and powerful this really is.
Yeah, because it's like relatable, just like heartbreak, but it being portrayed in this extremely kind of dramatic and like world-ending narrative. It's just like, wow, like you can just feel the emotion. You can relate to it if you've been in a similar situation.
It's so 90s.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a quote from Eddie Vedder that says, "Fragile songs get crushed by the business. I don't want to be part of it. I don't think the band wants to be part of it." And I think that they were scared to be so vulnerable. And I think that speaks to a lot about the industry.
Yeah.
Oh,
especially
yeah.
at the time.
Without a doubt.
But I think that like it becoming popular is so cool. Like it's so important that like it did blow up, because the fact that something this vulnerable could become as popular really speaks to like how
We perceive music.
absolutely
Yeah.
funny when he performs Black on the MTV Unplugged, which everybody loves, by the way. He actually fucks up the lyrics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he fudged the lyrics like twice, and it's like fine. It still comes out fine. But like when they released the Unplugged record actually like 2 years ago, finally on Spotify and stuff. Like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, like it was literally nowhere to be found. I had it on vinyl, but it literally just came out on like,
streaming.
Yeah, and so like I can hear like when I'm singing, because I know all the words. So when I was singing it to myself, like, and I would listen to Unplugged one, I would be like, oh, what? You completely throw me off.
What the fuck?
And but yeah, it's such a great song. It's probably the strongest track on this record.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just not a skip. Like you just can't skip.
You have to listen to it.
Yeah, like it's in like all of my emotional playlists. It's in even when I'm feeling high, like a high moment. Like I listen to this song. Like it's everywhere. Like this is so, like I said, palpable. Like it's there.
I love how like it sounds, how it kind of changes from in tone between the verses and the choruses, where it's just like so like heartbreaking in the choruses, but so just like mellow and calm in the verses. It really like it's a really nice build up that I think is very effective for the tone it's going for.
I just love it's an E and an A to start out with
The chords.
Yeah, and I just like I love that combo. It's so like it's so melancholic, like for no reason. It's just like, but like going back and forth between those, and then like hearing him like the little like thing he does at the beginning of the it's just so good, man. This is such a good
fantastic
track.
There's something really cathartic about this song.
Yeah,
I think like it really portrays that well.
Definitely. Anything else?
No, because I am a little intrigued to talk about this next one.
Yes.
Because this one is arguably, in my opinion, one of the most fascinating concepts on this record.
And probably the darkest song on the record as well.
Without a doubt.
With the way that they portrayed it, because like it's such a good song, like structure-wise, and like the way that, you know, he writes it.
Yeah.
It's called Jeremy, which this is actually another one that on one of our car rides, Alec, that you showed me in the car. And I didn't really pay attention to the lyrics that much, just the Jeremy spoke it, like that part. But like, I think it's time that we kind of like say what it's about.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking dark.
Can I say it?
Go
Absolutely,
for it.
Okay,
Alec.
so it's about a student that Eddie Vedder knew from junior high who committed a school shooting, kind of. Basically, he brought a gun to school and killed himself.
Yeah.
in the
class.
classroom. Yep. Yeah, and the whole idea is that Jeremy, which I don't think is that his actual name.
I feel like that'd be
A little insensitive.
That'd be going against like the ethics of care. I feel like if it like definitely
for sure, it was just like
But Jeremy's such like a name, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a.
It's good syllables for writing songs.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, it really is, and it's just really dark.
Yeah.
Super fucking dark.
Tells a story about this like neglected kid who has no friends and his parents don't really pay attention to him, so he just feels like he has nowhere else to go but out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, it is actually based on a kid named Jeremy.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yikes.
Well, at least he,
At least the song's good.
yeah, at least he paid respect. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
And it definitely does kind of like bring up the issue of you know, just like neglect and
mental health in like high school students and like
and also kind of saying like suicide isn't the way out, like, you know,
Exactly.
get help.
and how like people need to start like at the time people really need
take
to
it
emphasize
seriously.
that it's not the way out. They need to do a lot more.
And just like the line Jeremy spoke in class today is so fucking raw, given like the context.
Given the context, like this song sounds like an upbeat song a little bit.
Yeah.
Or not given the context. Without the context, this song just sounds like a, you know,
Typical grunge Pearl Jam song.
But then like you listen when you kind of like put the context and look at the lyrics, it's so eerie.
Yeah.
It's such like really somber, really eerie kind of like song.
Yeah, it's a very interesting juxtaposition, especially during the verses when it's a little more mellow. But goddamn, the riff is so fucking good on the song. It's such a catchy song.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very good.
And it has a nice little key change at the end. It's a little cherry on top.
One of my favorite tracks off this record.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's very good. Anything else to say?
I'm good.
Let me get into Oceans.
Yeah, Oceans is interesting.
It is a
Such
very
a good
interesting
song. It's so low key.
It's
yeah.
so-
For the rest of it.
It's such a nice, it's so pleasant, and it's a nice come down from the last track, I feel
Definitely.
like.
100%.
It almost feels ethereal.
Totally. Just like it has this
Current
underwater kind of vibe, which makes sense because it's about surfing, I believe.
Towards you.
But just like the way the guitars sound is such a vibe. And I also like how during kind of the instrumental break towards the end when they had like the congos and the bongos, it just adds like a nice little different kind of flair from what we've been hearing. And it's so interesting having this kind of at like the heart of the album or in like kind of like the center.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a nice little like split between between each half.
I think honestly that's just sort of the main thing I wrote about it is that it's very pleasant
Yeah.
and interesting. We go from a song like Jeremy to a song about surfing.
Exactly.
You know, like what an interesting tone shift. But we're going to number 8, Porch. This song, there's on paper, there is nothing wrong with this song.
Yeah.
It's just not really for me.
I agree.
I 100% agree.
It's totally fine, but it's just not as memorable as anything else.
Right.
I like that it's kind of like more punk influence, a lot more upbeat and fast. I like the chorus, but other than that, it's just not anything super special. And next up, we move on to Garden. I think Garden's pretty cool.
Dude, like
Yeah, I agree.
this whole so Garden's fascinating because lyrically it kind of depicts like self-discovery and like I don't know, like emotional detachment. I know that's like kind of like a theme, just sort of like being what was the acceptance of a lot of shit going on. But just I don't know. I think like this song kind of highlights the singer's like refusal to show vulnerability, I feel like.
Yeah.
And just the process of like healing and like building resilience and like God, like it's It's
the
raw.
name garden, like think about it, he's cultivating.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Like it almost makes you kind of like reflect on the relationships and shit that you have around you currently.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's weirdly open ended. I feel maybe that's just me.
I wouldn't say that's weird. I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. It's accurate.
Like I feel like it really just made me reflect a lot about my current relationships and shit.
I mean, this track specifically.
Yeah,
definitely. It has like this sense of a rebellion in the chorus, and I don't really know. It's just a really dope ass song. Sounds apocalyptic almost, just like you're in this like wasteland. But I love how it sounds. I have not really paid attention much to the lyrics besides the chorus.
I was really trying to, because I know when it comes to Pearl Jam and grunge singers and post grunge singers, one of the biggest things that people will do is just be like,
yeah, because
like
Eddie Vedder kind of coined that style. Yeah.
So I tried to make a point to really like listen to what he was saying this time around.
Yeah.
And I think just the way this track sort of makes you sort of like try to find meaning in a potentially hostile environment and like world you live in.
Mm-hmm.
Something about it, it really spoke to me. And I think this is one that really kind of, its meaning kind of crept up on me in a way that I didn't expect it to.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Especially at like track number 9, you know? Like
that's true.
So I think like honestly, Garden, this is probably one of the ones that became one of my favorite tracks on the album.
Yeah, I can see it. It's definitely a highlight from the second half. Next up we have Deep, and I feel similar to this about like Porch. I feel like they're kind of comparable in the way that I feel about them. Mm-hmm. They're good songs on their own, but in just comparison, they kind of get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add to that.
Yeah, it's got like a 6/8 time signature, which is cool. I like how they kind of play around more with their sound on this back half. They're just trying more things, and it works, but it's just not as interesting.
It kind of delves into like the themes of addiction, which also kind of resonated with me a little bit. Mm-hmm. So like, I think it's I don't know. Just again, it sort of talks about these issues, but offering no easy answer or like redemption to these issues. Just this sort of perpetual longing, which is the theme, I feel like, of this album. So it works out well.
There's nothing else to say. We move on to the last track of the album. We have Release. And I think this is a great closer.
It is a good closer. And again, lyrically, it's very good.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but these were improvised on the spot.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
I believe you're right.
So that's fucking crazy that Eddie just pulled this out of his ass. And
it's actually all of them. They all are credited.
Okay.
Gossard, Ament, Cruson, McCready, and Vedder are all credited on this song.
Damn.
And it's 9 minutes. And it's actually, there's a hidden track called Master/Slave, which begins at 5:18 on the
song. That's the second half of the song?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. So it is kind of interesting because at that point, it kind of reflects the beginning of Once with those like kind of like bass and guitar, which I think is a cool bookend to this album.
100%.
So I didn't know that was like actually like a separate track.
Yep.
Very cool.
No, especially like I didn't know like all these were improvised and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because this theme in particular for these lyrics are like also very fascinating to me because like I wrote down that to me it kind of felt like just this, again, this sort of like longing, but also acknowledging the fact of like there's sort of this absence of like a guiding figure in his life or in their life, whoever decided to sort of like write the lyrics fully. But just like, again, like just sort of this universal human desire for connection.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I love the way that it just sort of makes it feel like it, like the songs end, but it feels like they could just like keep going. You could just sort of fade and zone out in the haze.
Exactly. I feel like that definitely is also attributed to the instrumental. It's very like 70s kind of inspired with the guitar wise, very trippy, which I like a lot. And yeah, I think it's just a very good way to end the album. It encapsulates the feel and the tone very well.
No doubt.
Another song I forgot to mention, by the way, actually, State of Love and Trust. Is another demo that wasn't released off this record with Yellow Ledbetter. State of Love and Trust is probably one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs. Either that or Better Man or Daughter. But it's like a totally different sort of vibe. And it's like they performed it at their Unplugged, and it was like, again, subsequent releases actually had it. But I just think it's so strange that they recorded these two really, really good songs.
Yeah, and they left it off.
And they just cut them. Like,
they just really loved Porch.
I guess so.
I don't even think it's that. It's like if you just add those two, like this album's even better. Like, and that's hard to conceptualize because this album is
already so good. Yeah.
Hey man, I guess that just makes them stand out on their own a little more.
For sure.
But I guess without anything else to say, move on to our final thoughts. Alec, what do you think about 10 by Pearl Jam?
So I used to rank out of the big four. It was like, for me, it was always Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. And then I listened to more Pearl Jam, and then it became Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden.
Gotcha.
And and I will die on that hill for me, for that being my opinion, because I fell in love with this album. I fell in love with like the later albums, like Versus and the self-titled and Yield, and all the way down the line. And I think that this is such a strong opener to their career and to this band. And I just love it. Like it's something I always go back to. My dad buys me like the dollar CDs from like the music store. He just brings it home and he's like, I found another copy of it. I know you already have one, but like you can never have too many. And it's like an emotional thing with like me and him, where like we both love this record, and like we'll be driving somewhere, I'll put it on and we'll both be singing it, and it's like
it's dope.
Yeah, it's just very, I guess, important to me.
And important to like culture as well.
For sure.
One of the biggest albums, especially of the 90s.
Oh yeah.
So would you rank it?
I'd probably go, I was originally thinking like a strong 8 to a light 9, but I'm honestly thinking like probably a light to decent 9, or like a strong or decent to strong 9.
Yeah.
Like, I could probably be convinced of a 10. Ironically.
It's just good.
Like it's just so
it's so consistently good.
Like it's like all the way through, like it's like a book, man. Like you could go all like front cover to cover, and like you have a really good album. Like
exactly.
you really enjoy it all the way through. And I think that like speaks to their talent. I think that like the numbers don't lie. Of course, it sold really good, and for a good reason. And I think that Pearl Jam didn't really like change that much, and
it worked for
over
them
time, and it did work. Like they just made really good rock.
Yeah,
and like can't really ask for more than that.
Fair enough. So Matt, thoughts?
Okay, so I would say that I really just enjoyed the journey that this album took me on, like without a doubt. There are so many tracks that stood out to me. Like Once is so good. I love Alive. Even Flow is great, but like Black, Jeremy, and like hell, even Garden.
Yeah.
Just there's so many high points on this record, and even the not as high points, they're still like so consistent and so good. Like you said, the experience that all the instrumentalists had on this record, it really just lent itself so well to just paint this really grim but somewhat poetic picture of like, I don't know, just this sort of longing and this sort of like open-ended, like, I don't want to say despair, but like I'd say like, I don't know, like survivalist attitude.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's just it really paints like a picture of the general mind state of a lot of like people's mental health and how nobody was taking it seriously. So I applaud them for at least like trying to find a way to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like, we are not okay. Please listen.
And putting it in this like very not subtle way, just putting it all out there so people know what's up is very cool.
Yeah. And it's very purposefully done. So I say I would give this a very, very well-deserved like 8.9. And yeah, I'm willing to honestly argue. I was going to say B+, but I'm willing to put it in like A-.
Fair enough. So as I mentioned, my expectations were flipped between both albums. I was expecting not to like this, but I really enjoyed it. The instrumentation is fucking incredible, especially all the guitar solos. They always fucking rip. I love the influence, the more rock-inspired influence. I feel like that kind of just adds just such a nice tone. So it's just heavier rock, but with but still stays true to the roots. The lyricism is very good, and the way that Vedder tells stories is very engaging. And as Matt said, it's great at exploring societal issues that society wasn't ready to talk about. So many great tracks on here. Essentially, you listed all the ones that I would say. Basically everything except like Deep and Porch. But even then, those are still really good songs, but it's just hard competition because this album is so consistently solid. And it's a really cool kind of comparison between this and Modest Mouse, from a band that had no idea what they wanted to be to a band that knew exactly what they were going to be. And I think it definitely works as a debut album, and I give it an A tier. It's just really fucking good all the way through.
It is. Alec, thank you so much for bringing these albums to us.
Yeah,
for sure.
These are definitely two albums that I wouldn't have listened to if you didn't bring them to us, I think.
Same here. Yeah.
And like, I'm really glad, like, I think even with the Modest Mouse one, I want to give it some time and then try to like listen to it again in full.
Okay.
But I will try from here to at least listen to the rest of their discography because it's intriguing. There were definitely moments of that album that were pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
But thank you for bestowing Pearl Jam to me and AJ. For sure. That was pretty tight.
My expectations are changed. I like Pearl Jam now.
Hell yeah. Love to hear it.
All in the name of Steezus.
Exactly. Thank you, Steezus. Well, I guess nothing left to say. This has been another episode of the Family Album. Thanks again, Alec, for coming on the show.
Of course, anytime.
As always, I'm your host, AJ Tenari.
I'm Matt Glass.
And I'm Alek Ruszkai.
We'll see you on the next Tom Hates Albums next week.
Shit, you're right.
Damn, schedules are crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
really.
thanks for always listening.
Time is an illusion.
It really fucking is.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.